does appear we have a full bench up here, so there's a quorum present. This time we've had some young fellows from Mount Hebron Boy Scout Troop 331 who've agreed to come up and say the invocation and lead us in the prayer. If y'all would come on up.
Would everybody please bow your heads in prayer? Father, thank you for bringing everybody here today safely. We pray that everybody can have a safe rest of their week and that you can look over us in this meeting. Amen.
Amen. Wonderful job. If you would, come up, please lead us in prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll head down to the announcements. I'd like to let everybody know that we've got a recycling day coming up on October the 23rd. It will be from 9 to 12. You can bring scrap metal, electronics, dry paint, tires, paper, prescription drugs up to City Hall. We've in the past been able to get rid of a lot of things for a lot of folks, and certainly hope y'all will help us spread the word so your friends and neighbors know about it and come out and participate. Anyone have anything else they'd like to offer on the recycling day? Hearing nothing at this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Todd Osberger from Lexington Medical to come up and give us an update on the current COVID numbers and the conditions in our hospital. We've, over the past 14, 15 months, have reached out to Lexington Med, and they provide us with a lot of great information, and I'd like to take that opportunity again today.
Yeah, thank you again for letting me come tonight. Thank you all for indulging me for just a minute. Thankfully, I appreciate your leadership and your help and encouraging masking, encouraging vaccinations. I always hesitate to give good news because I'm afraid tomorrow it might change, but I gotta give a little good news when we see it. So it's worth taking time to recognize some positives. As I mentioned the last time I was here, in the hospital, we were seeing record numbers of inpatients. The last 2 months have been unbelievable, but we were hovering in the 140 inpatients for several weeks in a row. The last 2 weeks, we've seen that number come down dramatically. As of this morning, we have 49 patients in the hospital. Now, 49 is, yeah, that's good. 49 still on zero. 49 is a tremendous number, better than 190 and 140. Unfortunately, we have seen many folks pass. That's not the whole reason we're coming down, but in the month of September, 109 of our friends and family members passed in the hospital with COVID, which was by far our worst month. But again, efforts are working. I think people are realizing this is as serious as it is. We're seeing more masks, we're seeing more people come out and get vaccinated, and thankfully it's working. So we're sort of leveled off. We're hoping we get better, but compared to where we've been, we're certainly grateful that we're down in the 50 range. So again, anything you can do to encourage, I'd appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. We owe you and your staff and everyone at Lexington Medical and every other healthcare provider an incredible debt of gratitude. If you would, please pass our thankfulness.
I certainly will, because those folks are here.
Absolutely. Anyone else have anything?
Thank you.
Thank you again. I appreciate you coming tonight.
You bet. Thank you.
Moving down to item 6.1, proclamation to recognize October the 15th, 2021 as the third annual South Carolina Latino Business Day in the city of West Columbia. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read that for me.
Yes, sir. This is a proclamation for October the 15th, 2021 as the third annual South Carolina Latino Business Day. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is a time to recognize the positive contribution and influences made by Hispanic Americans to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. This month-long recognition, which is celebrated September the 15th through October 15th, began in 1968 when President Lyndon B. Johnson established Hispanic Heritage Week. It was later expanded in 1988 by President Ronald Reagan to Hispanic Heritage Month. And whereas there are over 4.4 million Hispanic business owners in the United States who contribute over $700 billion to the national economy, South Carolina has numerous Hispanic small businesses which contribute over $1.6 billion into the state's economy. Whereas, as a part of celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, states and local governments will proclaim a Latino Business Day. And whereas Moda Enterprises Chief Executive Officer Vanessa Moda established the first Latino Business Day on October 15, 2019, to celebrate Hispanic contributions to the community, the economy, and to celebrate individual accomplishments. And whereas the third annual South Carolina Latino Business Day will be celebrated on October 15, 2021 in the city of West Columbia with events that recognize local Hispanic and Latino business owners for their contributions to the West Columbia community and to the economy. And now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and city council of the city of West Columbia does hereby proclaim October 15, 2021 as the third annual Latino Business Day in the city of West Columbia, South Carolina, proclaimed by City Council in the meeting duly assembled this 5th day of October, 2021.
Is there a motion that this be proclaimed? Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Mayor, I just want to say that I have been very impressed with Vanessa Moto and the whole organization there. And I consider that one of our successful businesses that continues to grow and grow and grow. And I only hope it gets bigger. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm so proud. I've been over there several times and visited with them as they have recognized their students who have completed the process of their educational program over there. I'm always very, very impressed by the folks that they send through that program. One of the messages that they stress to people who have come and who are first generation people in this country is to take time to learn English, to become assimilated into this society, to make it their home. I appreciate all that you do. It's an incredible program that you run over there, and she works with Mr. Ledford from Midlands Tech to give these people an opportunity to really learn how to go out and establish businesses and do things the right way, and it really is a great service to provide in our community. Anyone else? Hearing nothing, if you're in favor, please raise your hand.
Passed unanimous.
Ms. Mata, if you'd like to come on up, Ulysses, if you'd like to come up, get a photograph. Anyone else who'd like to join you?
We go up there.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Moving down to item 6.2 for resolution recognizing the 2021 Columbia Business Report icons and phenoms in West Columbia. Madam Clerk.
Whereas the Columbia Regional Business Reports Icons and Phenoms Award recognizes outstanding individual area leaders who exhibit success and community involvement, who are respected pillars of the community, and who have established standards of business and civic excellence. And whereas the Columbia Regional Business Reports 2021 Icons and Phenoms Award was presented to Todd Osberger, Joe Taylor, Phil Blair, Joseph D. Dickey Jr., and Travis McNeil on August 25th, 2021. And whereas Todd Osberger has served as president and CEO of Lexington Medical Center since 2015, he previously served as Lexington Medical Center's senior vice president and chief operating officer for 16 years. In 1985, he received a Bachelor of Science in Finance from Michigan State University and a master's degree in Health Services Administration from the University of Michigan in 1989. He is an active member of the American Hospital Association Southeastern Regional Policy Boards, the Central Carolina Community Foundation Board, and the United Way of the Midlands Board. He also served as chairman of the South Carolina Hospital Association Board from 2019 to 2020, and is chairman of the Lexington Chamber of Commerce Board from 2016 to 2017. He is a fellow with the American College of Healthcare Executives and received the South Carolina Healthcare Executive of the Year Award in 2003 from the South Carolina Hospital Association and the American College of Healthcare Executives. And whereas Joe Taylor is the managing member and CEO of Park and Washington LLC, he is a partner in Capital Concrete and a graduate of Wofford College. He served as Secretary of Commerce for the state of South Carolina from March 2006 until January 2011. He is currently a member of Synovus Bank of South Carolina Board, Dubin Clark and Company Private Equity Board, Columbia Museum of Art Board, Central Carolina Community Foundation Board, Wofford College President's Advisory Board, Midlands Business Leadership Group Board, South Carolina Association of Independent Colleges Board, Hammond School Board, Cultural Council of Richland and Lexington Counties Board, Medical University of South Carolina Board of Visitors, Wofford College Alumni Association Board, and Wofford College Terrier Club Board. He is a graduate of Leadership Columbia and has also been awarded the Governor's Award of the Palmetto, an honorary doctorate of humanities from Wofford College, and 2020 West Columbia Citizen of the Year Award, the South Carolina Distinguished Service Award from South Carolina Coaches Association, the Jobs of America's Graduates from Washington, D.C. Government Leadership Award, Wofford College Letterman's Association Honorary Letterman, March of Dimes 2011 Real Estate Person of the Year, Brooklyn Baptist Church Foundation Philanthropy Award, and 50 Most Influential Persons in Columbia, South Carolina for 2020 award. Whereas Phil Blair is a lifelong resident of West Columbia and a graduate of Brooklyn Casey High School. He is an owner of the Wig in downtown Columbia and the Wico Bottle and Beer Garden in West Columbia. He was voted Post and Courier's Best Local Business Leader in 2017, 2018, 19, and 2020. He also served on several community boards such as Jam Room Music Festival, First Thursday on Main, and the River District Association. And whereas Joseph D. Dickey Jr. is the partner with Dickey Law Group, LLC, where he practices labor and employment law. In 2006, he graduated from Clemson University with a Bachelor of Art in Japanese and International Trade and a Bachelor of Science in Management and International Management concentration. In 2009, he graduated from the University of South Carolina School of Law with a Juris Doctorate degree. He is a member of the West Columbia City Council, the River District Association, the Japanese American Association of South Carolina, the South Carolina Appleseed Justice Center. He is a graduate of the Leadership South Carolina class of 2015 and a former member of the Midland Education and Business Alliance, the Goodwill Industries of Upstate Midland, South Carolina, and Clemson Club. He has been awarded Lawyers of Distinction, the National Black Lawyers Top 40 Under 40 for 2016 to 2021, Legal Elite of the Midlands from 2018 to 2021, Super Lawyers Rising Star 2018-2019, Premier Employment Lawyers 2019 through 2021, Super Lawyers 2020 through 2021, America's Top 100 High Stakes Litigators 2020 to 2021, Best Lawyers in America 2021 to 2022, South Carolina's Lawyers Weekly 2021 Leadership and Law Honoree, and the Best Law Firm in America Tier 1 for 2022. And whereas Travis McNeil is the Executive Director of Oliver Gospel Mission, where he leads and serves with over 50 passionate team members committed to guiding men, women, and children through their most desperate times. Before beginning his role at Oliver Gospel Mission, he served at Golden Harvest Food Bank in Augusta, Georgia, where he oversaw 50-member staff, 3 distribution centers, and a volunteer experience facility, the Master's Table, a 12,000 square foot state-of-the-art soup kitchen and for-profit company, Golden Service Providers, which generated revenue for Golden Harvest. Before joining Golden Harvest, he served as an associate pastor in churches throughout South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. He earned a Bachelor of Arts from Augusta State University, Augusta, Georgia, and a master's degree from the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky. He is a native of North Augusta, South Carolina, and is a member of City Center and Rotary Club. He is a former member of Leadership Augusta and Leadership Columbia County. And now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and city council of the city of West Columbia hereby wishes to express its sincere gratitude and appreciation for the leadership, dedication, and contributions made by Todd Osberger, Joe Taylor, Phil Blair, Joseph D. Dickey Jr., and Travis McNeil, and recognizes the impact that each have had on our community. Adopted this day of October 2021.
Is there a motion that this be resolved?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'd like to open up the discussion and just say that each one of these individuals do whatever it is that they do, as well as anybody in the world. It's a tremendous recognition of them to have made this. You've heard their list of achievements and accomplishments, regardless of the industries that they serve in. There's no one around here that does it better. I'm proud that they are all associated either by living here or by placing their businesses, investing their lives and their life work over in our community. And I want to thank each and every one of you for all that you do to make our community better. So, anyone else? In favor of the resolution, please raise your hand.
Passed unanimous.
If y'all like to come up and take a picture, we'd love to have you up here. Any of y'all have need for a photo along, Mr. Dickey is for hire.
Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, y'all. Moving down to item 6.3, presentation concerning the communities and schools of South Carolina. We'll hear from Ms. Latasha Tate. Nice to see you again.
It certainly is. It's been a while.
It has been.
My fellow JC member.
Oh, and I wanted to tell you, you Boy Scouts, you are more than welcome to stay, spend the evening with us. Don't know how long it's gonna be. You're also more than welcome to go. Whatever you choose is fine. We won't take offense either way. Go ahead.
Short video on the Carolina side. What you guys see your campaign video that we started short.
Hello, I'm David Cooper, President and CEO of Communities and Schools of South Carolina. And I'm Ken Kelly, CIS alumni, currently, and we are here to share some exciting news about Communities and Schools work in South Carolina. As our country, state, and communities move into the recovery phase of COVID-19, education is a new front line of society. That's why unified education support investment are needed more than ever. We are excited to share that our efforts in the upstate, the Midlands, and the Low Country are now unified as Communities and Schools of South Carolina. Since inception, Communities and Schools integrated student support program has been built around the concept that it takes one person, one moment, one opportunity to positively impact the trajectory of someone's life. At CIS, we believe in the power of one. And while our teams will continue to offer individual student supports tailored to student, school, and community needs, we will be aligned with the vision of the power of one. Collectively, we will be able to reach more students, serve more needs, and have greater impact on our individual communities and state.
For me, the power of one is a relationship between a site coordinator and a student direction service. To be able to go into a site and just manage 40, 50, 60 students and have each of those students believe that they are the one, that you are there for them, is really powerful. And to me, that is powerful.
I'm excited about the work because it gives us the opportunity to come together across the state and share successes, to share challenges, to share the workload. We know that there are others out there working to make a difference in the lives of children.
Communities and schools is the missing piece of the puzzle in our school system. We really focus on the social emotional learning aspect of the student's life. Students come to school with an academic backpack and a invisible backpack. In that invisible backpack, they carry all their struggles, all their worries, things that keep them away from their academics. And through community schools, we help those students unload that backpack.
What we know about social emotional needs and site coordinators is that young people have to have the ability to identify and express their feelings so that they're able to perform in the classroom.
CIS knows how to work cohesively with our school districts, state and local officials, and community partners to focus on the common good, and that is the success of our students. Although we focus on attendance, behavior, and coursework as the metrics by which we measure our student success, we also are very invested in making sure that we understand the underlying challenges that our students might be facing so that we're able to address them in the future.
Across South Carolina, CIS serves students who are bright, intelligent, who have dreams, who desire a great future, who are supported by families, extended family, who want nothing but the best for their students. The power of CIS is that we're able to amplify the individual potential of each student, setting them on course to achieve not just in school, but in life. What does the power of one mean to you? At CIS, we know the power of one can benefit many. Will you join us? I believe in the power of one.
I believe in the power of one.
I believe in the power of one.
The power of one.
Thank you so very much for showing that video. Wanted to welcome you all to I know I've been with you all before when I had two site coordinators here talking about our work in the local Lexington, West Columbia community. Effective January 1, Communities and Schools of the Midlands have merged with two other organizations that are doing great work across South Carolina, and we're looking to expand in some of the West Columbia communities. I know we had some discussions about what schools would benefit from us making an investment in involving the county and the city in the work that we do. But we're going to be able to reach about 20,000 students across South Carolina in 7 counties. That's Lexington, Richland, Fairfield, also Charleston, Hampton, and the upstate. So a big part of the work that we're doing right now, as you know, some of us have children, we're parents, we're working closely with the schools. We're going to be the leading provider of social and emotional support programs. We know that students and families are having a lot of hardships due to COVID. and our site coordinators are going to be in the school working with them now more than ever. We've strictly enforced that our site coordinators manage a caseload of about 50 students, and those are students that are lacking in attendance, behavior, and social emotional learning skills, and specifically academics. We know that there may be a few times where students are not going to be able to attend school and be there with two teachers, so we are prepared to be boots on the ground and walk along with those students in the time of crisis. So again, I know I don't have a whole lot of time to be before you, but I want to present our video and open you all to welcome to Community Schools of South Carolina. We do also have some financial needs as we are extending our services across the state and here locally. So we look forward to hearing more about opportunities to work together.
I thank you for coming back to provide us that update. I know that over the last couple of years, Councilmember Holman and I have talked. She's in the schools day in, day out. She's mentioned several times just how great of a job you do. Is there anything you'd like to share?
You know, and I can say definitely Lexington to expanded your services, started at Wood and went on to the middle schools and Airport High School now as well. And it's, you know, progressed every year, but the impact that they made, you talk about it, 50 kids, it is that personal connection, not just with the child, but with family. And that's what I've always appreciated is the teachers can reach out, there's always that open network and the extra support that you provide.
Thank you.
Here, I've had the chance to work at the Pine View Chess Club, and let me just share one little story that I have with you. We were at a chess club match, and the mother came up to me and told me that her son was connecting more with her father because of chess. And she said this is the first time they've ever really connected. And this was, you know, an at-risk kid, but it was a really good feeling. And I mean, the kids at the Pine View Chess Club were really awesome. It's really good to have.
Anyone else?
Natasha, how are y'all funded?
Yeah, so we are funded on two sectors. We're funded by the private sector and public. As Councilwoman mentioned, we do have MOAs and agreements with Lexington to allocate a certain amount of funding to assist those 50 students at each school site. So we do have funding that we receive from the district, and we also receive private funding, some from municipalities. I don't think that we've made it to any line items of you guys. We do receive funding from Richland County Council and some other local municipalities throughout the year. So any funds that we do not raise throughout the year, we do have to fundraise on our own. We try to make sure that our site coordinators have a competitive wage because we know that they are working very hard in the schools to alleviate the teachers, the guidance counselors, and make sure that the school meets their goals throughout the year. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you so much for the update. Wish you the best in the mission.
Thank you. And also, Councilman Green, we look forward to having you all back. At some point, we have a new site coordinator there because Ms. Key is at Airport High. But again, we'd love to have you all involved as much as we can. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you. Moving down to item 6.4, the presentation on the AMI system. We'll hear from Mr. Andy Zangle.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This evening, I'd like to provide you an update on the city's plans to upgrade our water system metering infrastructure. As you know, the scope of this project includes the replacement of our existing analog meter systems with automatic metering infrastructure. The new AMI system will improve accuracy and provide detailed consumption data to the consumer. Since our last update, we've worked closely with our consultants to identify the team we believe provides the best value. As a group, we have worked to refine the project scope and schedule. Though there are some items that remain to be resolved, we believe we're close to presenting a recommendation of award. We anticipate requesting your consideration and approval of the construction proposal to the November council meeting. Please listen to the mic if you have questions to define.
Any questions?
Andy, how many phases is this project going to be broken up into?
Single phase.
One single phase?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be scheduled to go through with billing cycles per district, but it's approved in one single phase.
Anyone else?
And when do we anticipate that it's actually, I mean, the meters will be in place? Do you have an idea now?
Yeah, so like I said, we're working through that part, working through scheduling. COVID with material delays and manufacturing is kind of really thrown a hinge into a lot of that stuff. So the original 6-month time frame is going to be variable depending upon material costs. So I don't really want to, it's hard trying to nail that down for you specifically, especially the state. We're still working through a few things as far as the project's go. So
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Appreciate the update. Moving down to item 7.1, we'll hear from Mr. Marcellus Odom. Mr. Odom, thank you for joining us tonight. If you would, please just say your name and your address just for the record.
Marcellus Odom, and my address is 1204 Hemlock Street, Casey. Yes, sir. Thank you for your time, each and every one of you council members, also the mayor. Thank you for allowing me to come up here. I'm gonna be brief, but very direct. My son, Dayon Odom, was the young teenager that was killed back here on July 31st. Not getting to the logistics or the details of the situation, he was shot in his face. It's been a lot that we've been going through as a family, as a father, even as a citizen in the city of Casey and West Columbia. I've been advocating with Parents Against Gang and Gun Violence with that initiative, and I've also been advocating with other initiatives to try to curb some of the things that's been going on. Very brief, we know that the city of Columbia, Richland County, Columbia, had a gang problem, but that gang problem has also trickled over in our community as well. Just a few months ago, matter of fact, on Mother's Day, on Lawrence Street, my son was out there with several other teenagers, and they were shot at a total of 28 times, according to investigator Tommy Todd. No arrest was made. I don't know the logistics of the situation or what all happened, but ultimately, that area over there, especially where my son was hanging out with a group of guys, young guys he was hanging out with, ultimately that led up to his demise. I would like to see not only an allocation for some type of funds to help curb the gang and gun violence, but also not to just get out here and put more police on the street and lock up people, but also give these kids opportunity to go to have after-school programs, whether it's Boys and Girls Club of America, something that when I was growing up in the city of Casey, we had. When I Googled that just last night, they have nothing that these kids in the inner city can go to. A lot of them run to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or so forth. And it's a lot of social media beef on that behalf as well. So I'm coming to council to just ask for your help, because me as a citizen, as a parent, I can't do it by myself. Also, the issue with the situation as far as the parent who was living at the Osage Avenue residence left these children in the house for 3 days total. Now, there is no law in the state of South Carolina that I looked up that states that you can't leave your children in the house by themselves. It's basically, we have a free reign law where it's up to the parent's discretion, as long as they're not, real tiny babies. But 13, 14, 15-year-old teenagers should never be left in the home by themselves unattended for a total of 3 days. That also, in my eyes and many other people's eyes who have a lot of thinking, that contributed also to what happened as far as a gun being placed in the hands of a juvenile, because nobody was in the household, nobody knew anything, and my son was ultimately killed. And I'm trying to, I don't know how to say this because I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I'm trying to advocate for a possible bill. And I come to the city council first before going to state legislature to try to push for a Dayon's law where children cannot be left unattended no matter what age they are for over a 24-hour period of time. And I know that's something that maybe to some, hey, what if we got to work or so forth. But at the end of the day, put yourself in my situation as a parent. I lost a 14-year-old child due to negligence and stupidity. And Excuse me. My son just turned 14 this year, February 19th. And he was killed July 31st. He didn't even get a chance to grow. My son was killed 2 weeks before he was supposed to start Brooklyn Casey High School. I buried him a week before school started. This is just my plea to the city council to help me and my family in an effective way. And I'm not trying to speak out of emotion, I'm speaking out of reason and logic. Because we have a problem here, and we can't turn our blind eye. Yes, we're a beautiful city, we're a growing city. Things are changing here. But if we're building businesses and we're not building people, and we're having no youth to help lead or make those businesses grow in the future, then we don't have a future. And that's all that I want to say. And I thank you for your time. Thank you, Councilman Ward, for putting me on the books. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So, first of all, sorry to hear about your son. I am very, very happy that an individual has been arrested and charged with the crime, so hopefully that person can not harm anyone else going forward.
Yes, sir.
Since it is an ongoing criminal matter and our police officers are involved in it.
Yes, sir.
Limit what we say tonight.
Yes, sir.
But know that you are in our thoughts and prayers. And we hate that your son tragically lost his life.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Let me say to Mr. Odom, too, and I've been in meetings with Mr. Odom. We formally stopped the violence rallies. We had to parade and stuff in West Columbia. We're aware of the situation, but Mr. Odom, just to let you know, if you go by the Brooklyn Empowerment Center, there are programs there every weekend, mentoring programs for kids. They got a boys program as well as a girls program. You go by the Brooklyn Empowerment Center and you can sign up for those programs. They just put out an announcement the other day. They're still looking for kids 12 to 17 years old to join those mentoring programs, boys and girls. So there are some programs out there to help you. And if you need anything, just contact me. I'll direct you to them. So thank you.
Thank you. Moving down to item 7.2, we'll hear from Ms. Jennifer Means Ford from the Vineyard Neighborhood Association. Good to see you. If you would, please say your name and your address for the record.
Jennifer Bailey, and I live at 841 Center Street. I'm also the president of the Vineyard Neighborhood Association. And
Can you speak up?
Sorry, I didn't want to be too loud.
No,
Is
be
that
loud.
better? Okay. I didn't want to get too close. Okay. Again, I'm the president of the Vineyard Neighborhood Association, and that's who I'm on behalf of this evening. So thanks again to Mayor and Council, City Administration, and staff. Again, I'm here tonight as a representative of the Vineyard Neighborhood Association. Just as a quick reference, we take up a section over there right around the B Avenue Community Center, and kind of it stretches around to the Mill Village and Jarvis Platinum and just up near 12th Street and kind of over to C Avenue. So kind of that general area, more or less. All right, so on our regular monthly members meeting, which was September 13th, we voted to read a letter here for you guys. Everybody should have copies of it, and I'm just going to read through it, and then that'll be it. So, dear council, the Vineyard Neighborhood Association has voted to draft a letter to West Columbia City Council to seek assistance for loud noise coming from Savage Craft Brewery, located at 803 Center Street in West Columbia. The problem is not with the brewery itself, but with the level of noise coming from the concerts and events they have specifically from Thursday through Sunday night, occasionally coming from the stage at other various times, but really specifically those times. So people in our association have heard music clearly as far away as 9th Street and C Avenue, 5 streets away, and confirming that it is in fact coming from Savage Craft, just to confirm when they do hear it. So this covers a large radius of residents and taxpayers who are affected. Most had no idea that the venue would be any other than a brewery that played occasional live music.
Had we known outdoor speakers would be pointed at the neighborhood, we would have voiced our concern at the planning stage. The residents of nearby houses have stated the noise levels are not only loud but unbearable and can be heard inside houses with windows shut, and this interferes with sleep when music does not stop on time. There are health concerns as reported in the July 2021 issue of AARP titled Loud Noise, the Not So Silent Killer, that states, and this is a quote, "Loud noise is more than just a threat to you, a threat to you, to your hearing and to your quality of life." Again, it's not the aim of our association or the goal of nearby residents who aren't regulars of our association to have Savage Craft closed or the music stopped for that matter. Our hope is to work together for a solution to this noise issue that will allow the brewery to be an asset to our community, while also allowing the neighborhood the freedom to enjoy our homes, our yards, choose our own music, converse normally, and the freedom to enjoy a great quality of life. Thank you for consideration and your help with this ongoing problem. Sincerely, the Vineyard Neighborhood Association. The only other thing I wanted to say just briefly in closing is thanks you guys for taking the time to hear this. I know that the city's working towards a solution on this, and this is obviously not the first that you guys have all heard about, what's going on down there, so I know that it is being worked on. But we did vote as an association to bring this to you guys formally and voice our concerns about it. So thanks for your time.
Thank you for coming. We haven't seen you since the last meeting, so I haven't had an opportunity to provide an update. I've called a few individuals who were directly affected by this and let them know that as we indicated the city would do, we did have a meeting with the ownership of Savage Craft that happened last week. We are working together to take steps to address the issue. So just wanted to let you know that meeting had occurred. And I look forward to be able to get back to you with some more definitive steps of what's going to happen as we move forward.
Yeah.
Are there certain times, I guess, where the music's worse than others are? I guess I use an experience I had. I was at a funeral Sunday right there in Elwood, and you could hear something coming from whether it was across the river, whether it was a soccer game going on in the USC, wherever it was, you could hear it from a good ways away. So I guess my question is, if it's Saturday afternoon and they're playing music, is that acceptable versus, I guess, Saturday night at 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
What is the neighborhood association think of a good compromise? What would make the neighborhood association happy?
And here's how I gauge everyone's perspective on it, just based on sitting in the room as the president, I'm just a member of the association. And so ultimately it's the level of the noise. It's not about the noise at all. They're happy to have them over there, having them play during their regular hours and things like that. It's the level and the irregular. I guess also sometimes it's extremely loud, and so it's all about the level of the noise. It's not the noise itself.
Did I offer a perspective? I live on the 500 block of C Avenue.
If you'd like to come up and
Sure.
be recognized, happy to hear from you. If you're through, yes. Good to see you.
Thank you, City. I'm Mayor and Council. I appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you. If you would, just say your name and your address.
Kate Leach, I live at 505 C Avenue, and Jeff Public is my president. I'm also a member of the Vineyard Neighborhood Association. If you're looking into this, I'm not sure how many of y'all specifically live. I've seen you, Tim, at the meetings. Include one of our neighborhood association members. We're living it. I can tell you what song they're covering. Sitting inside my sunroom, my windows are open this time of year, on the 500 block of C Avenue, 4.5 blocks away. It's the sustained length of time that they're playing. It's the volume that they're playing at. There are clear standards for noise that have been established at the federal level. We can look at what ANSI says, or American Something Safety Institute. We can look at what the CDC says. We can look at OSHA rules for people in the workplace. These are our homes. It's too much. And we can set standards for the whole community. It's not about attacking Savage. It's about determining how we want our quality of life to be going forward as West Columbia grows. So those are my perspectives that I would like to offer as someone who has experience.
Thank you so much. Anyone have any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. Thank you. Moving down to item 8.1, I would like to take up 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3 under one motion unless there's objection. Any objection? Hearing none at this time, I will welcome a motion to approve the minutes of previous meetings for the regular council meeting held September 7th, 2021, and the special council meeting held September the 8th, 2021, and the special council meeting held September the 20th, 2021. Is there such a motion? Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. If you're in favor, please raise your hand. Moving down to item 9.1, consideration to approve the multi-term street light contract with Dominion Energy. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
One thing, Mayor, I think we did notice for the public, is the $9,146.
And Mayor, I think one of the things to note for the public is that as soon as the street light is out, Dominion will be notified and the street light will be back on probably in 14 days. There are so many street lights that are out in the River District right now. And I continue to fight to make sure that these street lights are on. But this way, they will not have to be reported, someone will not have to get out and use the number and the location and then report it to Dominion. It will be automatically reported. So I wholeheartedly support this.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Hearing no further comments at this time, if you're in favor, please raise your hand. Moving down to item 9.2, consideration to approve a leave policy relating to employees who are fully vaccinated for COVID-19. We'll hear from Ms. Carrie Garrett.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good to see you.
So I wanted to talk to y'all, can you hear me okay? About the proposed leave policy for employees who are fully vaccinated for COVID-19. The first thing I want you to know is that the final draft of the policy was provided to us by Steve Savitz, an employment lawyer. One of the purposes of the policy is stated in the policy to promote the health and safety of our employees. We want to encourage all employees to become fully vaccinated. But also, we have to look at it from an operations standpoint. Employees who have chosen to become vaccinated against COVID-19 don't have to quarantine when they've been exposed. They still test on the 5th day, but they're able to continue to work so long as they don't develop symptoms or test positive. Also, when employees have been vaccinated and still contract COVID-19, those cases have all been mild. Based on our own statistics, we have had employees who've been vaccinated who still got COVID, but those were all very mild cases, and employees have always been able to return on their, after their 10-day quarantine or isolation. I want to give you some data, if you'll bear with me for just a moment. So since January 1 of this year, we've had to quarantine an employee 106 times. And some of those, the same employees multiple times. I started keeping some detailed data on August 1st. So since August 1st, so over the last 2 months, we've had 12 employees who were vaccinated, who had exposures, but they did not have to quarantine. They did not have to miss work. Since August 1st, we've had 25 non-vaccinated employees who were exposed, either, most of them at home. They had to quarantine for 7 days and did not contract the virus. So they missed 7 days of work. That 7 days from an operations standpoint that we're missing having our employees here with us and leaving other people to cover their duties. To give you the data on the vaccine, where we are right now, we have 199 employees, not counting the mayor and council. 122 employees have provided me with a COVID-19 vaccine card. 8 of those got their first dose after we offered a bonus incentive last month. So that leaves 77 employees who are either not vaccinated or have not provided me a card yet. They're still coming in every day, so I feel sure that we may have more, but 77 at the most are not vaccinated. Currently, I have 1 employee who is isolated because there's a positive case. I have 2 employees who are not vaccinated, who are quarantined because they're not vaccinated and they were exposed. Both of them have tested negative, but they can't return to work until after the 7th day to make sure they have no symptoms. I have 1 employee who was exposed, but he was not, he is vaccinated. So he also has tested, he tested negative, but he's able to continue to work, so we don't have to cover his shift. Mr. Savitz and I, we had some lengthy discussions about this policy. It is not discriminatory because any non-vaccinated employee has the opportunity to get vaccinated. We cannot retroact it, we cannot go back in the past for people who've already had their leave, but we can certainly, it's legal to provide it going forward. Are there any questions for me?
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions?
What have we been doing now?
Sorry?
What are we currently doing? If somebody is out like that, are they getting paid 7 days, we're not taking away from them?
They're getting paid if they have leave accrued. Like I could give you an example, an employee may have only been here, say, 3 or 4 months and don't have a lot of leave accrued. And they could be vaccinated, but still get COVID, and then they're actually, without pay. Under this policy, it would assist them.
Not to go down an HR discussion, because I don't know necessarily the time to do it. But do we not have a policy about somebody using time they don't have, and excessively doing that? Like if it's somebody that doesn't have time to breathe, and they're out, say, twice or 3 times, and they don't, do we not have some type of disciplinary action at that point?
We, generally speaking, they would be short paid. Like they would be, not paid, like you generally can't use leave that you didn't accrue.
Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong, last year we treated leave differently than we're treating it this year with the availability of the vaccine.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. We did some different stuff last year, but since the vaccine is out and we follow the CDC guidelines to the T, and which is why you don't have to quarantine if you're vaccinated, even though you could still get it. We're following CDC guidelines.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. If you're in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, please raise your hand. Matter passes 6-3. If you're in favor, please raise your hand. If you're opposed, please raise your hand. Matter passes 7-2. Moving down to item 9.3 is first reading consideration of the planning commission's recommendation to approve the rezoning of one parcel totaling 2.02 acres at 715 Raleigh Street, tax map number 004658-05-003 from R2 residential to the requested LM light manufacturer. Is there a motion? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
This is Raleigh Street.
It is.
I think there was somebody that would speak on this.
You're more than welcome to come up. If you would identify yourself.
My name is Pam Carbaco. I'm the owner of 2 duplexes on Whisper Way.
Where do you live? What's your address for the record?
My current address is the property I own, that's
Your-
next to the Robert Street property.
Your current address.
My current address is 262 Royal Oaks Court, Lexington, South Carolina. I own 2 duplexes on Whisper Way, 119 and 121, 135 and 137. I've been affiliated with this property for over 40 years. We purchased these about 35 years ago. We were just made aware that at 715 Raleigh Street, which the back of it backs up to Whisper Way, they had a planning meeting we didn't know about, because being owners, we don't get notified a lot of times. In fact, that would be something I would almost ask maybe in the future, if you could put notices in water bills that we do pay over taxes.
We put up big orange and white signs.
But if I don't, if I don't see it, I can't react to it. Anyway, this property backs up, the back of it is on Whisper Way. And I understand that the rezoning people somebody requested that it be rezoned to light manufacturing. We are very concerned about this because a few years ago, and I don't know if it's the same business, a catering business wanted to do this where they were going to be bringing in produce. They were going to be packaging produce. And, our concern was, where does the rotten produce go? With being light manufacturing, you're not only going to have employees, you're going to have suppliers, customers, all feeding from this business onto Highway 378 that already has a substantial traffic flow. We are very concerned because the business also could have potential smells to go with this. We're all aware of the chicken factory and the problems that has proposed. I don't know who is in mind for this light manufacturing, but Raleigh Street, as probably you all are aware, is a very short street. So anything that would require semi-tractor trailer trucks coming into that area would be a problem for all the residences. People that live on Whisper Way and North Lucas is a mixture of duplexes and single-family homes. So I would like for it to stay in conjunction with that kind of property that's all around it. And I think that's basically what I have.
Thank you, ma'am.
The property also has, it looks like an older home that might even have some historical value. I'm not sure of that, but it looks like one of the original residences of West Columbia.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions?
I think there's someone else.
Ma'am, if you could spell your last name.
Oh, yes. Sorry, C-O-R, B as in boy, A-C-H-O.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Please say your name and your address.
My name is Tom Bryant, B-R-Y-A-N-T. I live at 401 North Lucas Street. I am also opposed to the rezoning of this property.
Is your daddy Tommy Bryant?
My dad is Tommy Bryant.
From over on C Avenue?
No, he's from.
Different Tommy Bryant?
Yes, sir.
I got you.
So, but I'm opposed to the rezoning of this property. I don't feel like it fits the neighborhood I live. Like I said, not that far, right around the corner. We walk around the neighborhood. That's one of the streets that my kids ride their bikes on. And I'm just concerned about the neighborhood. It's a high residential area. You've already heard complaints about noise. We even share those same complaints with something that is light manufacturing. There's a daycare 2 doors down from this property. I'm concerned about the traffic flow with kids or parents dropping their kids off. I just don't think it fits the area, and I love where I live. My youngest son goes to daycare on B Avenue, and I go to church at Holland Avenue, and I eat at Zestos, right? We all do. So I want to keep my neighborhood a nice place to live, and I'm opposed to this. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Mr. Dupree, feel free to come up if you'd like to say a few things.
Mr. Mayor, council, thank you. You can ask me a question. I am the same caterer that she referred to. So we're not going to pack vegetables. That was because it was 3 years ago that we were gonna try to do a food hub there in line with trying to develop the future of our business. My son Bobby is here, and we wanted to take our production and enlarge it so that, because our business has grown, we're on Senate Street across the river. We have 4 buildings that are for venue, position is there, but it's small. We have an operation in West Columbia, the address is West Columbia Farmers Market. Both of those are rentals, so we want to buy a piece of property, and it's at 715 Raleigh Street, and eventually have our production there. The house, we want to save the house. Mary Beard was at the hearing recently, and she was a Chapieski. She is the executrix of the estate. She is involved in this transaction, so she spoke in favor of that. I can answer questions about noise. We're adjacent to the City Club, 4 buildings, bands, weddings, no complaint. My food truck is there tonight, no complaint. We are going to park food trucks there because we do shared kitchen use. Charcuterie, food trucks, a lot of different food items, but no food hub this time. But I'll answer a question if you have one.
Anyone have any questions?
Mr. DeBree, I don't think I quite understand. So what are your plans for the property there? You're going to park your food trucks there, and you're also going to have a kitchen there?
We want to purchase the property and save the house. The house will be about art. We have people who are interested in using it. We've been developing this idea for some time. But we intend to eventually build a kitchen, have an operation there, not events, but yes, if that happens, then we would park our food truck there, yes.
Is this one food truck, or is this multiple food trucks?
No, sir. We do shared kitchen agreements. I had Ms. Wendy Reed, who is one of the top employees of DHEC, to meet with me. For 30 years, she has been someone I consult with when I do something. But we have a number of food trucks that are sharing our kitchen as we speak. But yes, we would park even multiple trucks there in the future, if that's what was required in our agreement with those operators, yes.
Just to chime in, it's my understanding, and I haven't looked at this since we first got into the food truck business several years ago in West Columbia. But each independent mobile food truck has to be associated with a permanent place kitchen, right?
They have to.
And this would allow multiple food trucks, whether you own them or not, for you to partner with them, then to meet that requirement, so they can go out and service the community level.
That's correct.
And how many food trucks can one commissary service?
Well, that's an engineer question. This has to do with space. So I don't have an exact number, but the property measures enough for us to do multiple trucks there. But I don't have.
By multiple, do you mean 5 or less, or 10 or more?
I would go with the 10, maybe even more, absolutely.
Anyone else? I thank you, Mr. Dupree.
Thank you.
I've always enjoyed going to your establishment. Look forward to seeing you over there again. Never had a bad time.
Thank you very much, sir.
I have one question.
Please.
Charles Carson, you own Mid Carolina Marine. Do you receive any complaints from the residents of North Lucas or Whisper Way? I know the gentleman behind you said your child has a fight around there. I know that Mid Carolina is. Yes, sir. You all have things delivered.
Before chicken truck traffic down that road,
Right.
I see it coming through there all the time.
Well, I took pictures of those trucks over the last couple of years, and I just do it because I do it. But believe it or not, they didn't make noise. They were there. And that is, I don't know what negative or positive that is, but it's not uncommon on a daily basis for them to wait for a call to go down to the plant and empty. That was a rest stop.
So, Mr. Dupree, to clarify, those trucks mean the chicken trucks?
The chicken trucks.
Is that what you're taking pictures of?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Dupree, thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
I got one for Wayne, if you.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna call Wayne up and you just.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nat. Wayne, if you would, before I hand this off to Jimmy, I'm looking at, in our package, page 2597. You have this with you by any chance?
I do not. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, could you put that on the screen? Could Chris put that on the screen?
It's 2597.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Is this the subject property? The yellow space is identified as R2 with the blue rectangle?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay. And is it a very large portion that is already light manufacturing?
Correct.
And with the exception of the area that's immediately adjacent to it, is it completely surrounded by either light manufacturing or commercial uses?
Correct.
Is it consistent, the requested change, is it consistent with the city's overall zoning plan?
Currently, no, sir, not.
What is the overall zoning plan recommend?
For this area, medium density residential, which we addressed as part of which we acknowledged as part of the rezoning of the previous property and flagged it for reconsideration when we update the future land use map.
Okay. Is there any property in that area that is, so that the recommended area would be R2 or?
Yes, correct. Yeah, under the current future land use map, it would be R2, correct.
And the site, that has 7-Eleven written on it, is in lavender. That was previously by the same applicant, requested to be rezoned. And that's the reason that it's light manufacturing, is that correct? It was R2 previously.
Correct, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Councilman Moore, where is that?
That's if you look right under where it says Raleigh Street in the graphic. Yeah,
That looks white.
It looks like a split zone right at the very bottom of the store.
It is split zone, and we did that as part of the rezoning to protect the property on Whispering Way.
So the light manufacturing, coming at it that way is a big reason why it looks a little bit hodgepodge like that. This is kind of a similar situation, looks to me like a similar situation to a lot of these streets that are kind of on the periphery where we've kind of got a hodgepodge zoning and we don't really have super unified zoning. This is a little bit different than one we took up recently on Jasper Street where there was already an upfit, it was industrial on the site. And the path of least resistance was to make it, to just continue using an industrial use. This is actually a house and this has a very residential character. So, it seems like the logical thing would be to have the residential zoning.
Well, we've taken other parts of the city that have residential character, and I think we made them either commercial or light manufacturing, correct, in the last couple of years?
We have, and I couldn't identify anything specifically, but each time we do that, and again, the city adopts a future land use map. We do have a future land use map that was adopted in 2018. It is up for renewal, and we've already started the process of revisiting that. But each time you approve a rezoning that is in conflict with the current map, we do flag that so that we can reevaluate it as the future land use map comes up for reconsideration.
Mr. Schuler,
we did that for this location.
with the exception of the property that's located next door to 721, is there any property that this subject property is contiguous with that is currently used for residential purposes.
No, sir.
I'll say this, when I talked with Councilman Boyd Friday night or Thursday night about it, I hadn't looked at it a whole lot, and I felt one way then, I kind of feel a different way on it now. I don't understand why, and this is a question for, I guess, for everyone, I don't understand why there is everything around is either commercial, light manufacturing, then you do have some residential on down. I don't know that Raleigh Street is conducive for single family houses. The way people go down the road, the way it's used to cut through their businesses all the way around. And that's my only concern. It doesn't make a lot of sense why it doesn't have more conformity in the zoning through there.
Right, I don't really have a reason to disagree with you. As was pointed out, these were two very large lots that were family owned, both the 7-Eleven and the 715. They comprised approximately 4 acres total. They were family ownership. They both had large houses on them. At the time, I cannot tell you why, except that it was probably just, it did not fall within a certain number of feet from Sunset Boulevard or from 9th Street, so it was not included in either of those commercial corridors. And so it was left as residential. And that's probably the case, but I'm just speculating.
If you haven't been over there to see it with your own eyes from the ground, there is no future residential use going on Raleigh. It just absolutely is not conducive to residential use. My personal opinion, but I think anybody who goes and lays eyes on it will be the same opinion.
Would all the vehicles, I guess it's going back to your business, would all your vehicles or all your traffic use Raleigh Street to enter and exit this property?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think if it's exiting home to Raleigh Street, it's all using Raleigh Street, not going out the back or anywhere like that, then
I have my engineer with me from Cox and Jenkins. There was some questions that you had, and
Mr. Pruitt, I think we're good. I don't know whether we'll need any other discussion on it. Thank you. Any further comments from anyone? Ma'am, I think we've already given you an opportunity to speak and say what you wanted to say.
Well, I think there's a little misleading information on this map.
Well, I think you've already had your opportunity. I appreciate hearing from you earlier.
Well, the map was enough when I was speaking.
Anyone else have any questions or concerns?
And I just want to add one more thing about the neighborhood. I do understand and appreciate people who make investments in communities. This is a pretty large lot. A lot of the houses that are on Whisper Way and on North Lucas, there's been residents who put in $50,000 to $100,000 plus into their residences there. And the neighborhood is on a very, very good trajectory right now. And there's a lot of very, very good residents in there who have who kind of have a vision for their area, and they've got a lot of skin in the game. So that's definitely something to take into account when there's opinions on when they offer opinions on things like this. Just I want to throw that in there as well.
Would you agree that there's already light manufacturing between the subject property and every house?
We already asked for rezoning and got it, and that's why there's light manufacturing.
So would you agree that there's already light manufacturing between the subject property and every house you're talking about?
Because it was rezoned by the same guy.
well, I think, Councilman Moore, I think one of the concerns that I have, and this is why this is good that this is the first reading. It'll give us some time to maybe get some more information on it. But it seems like these houses, and I understand there's been a lot of money. I've seen them. I've been by, I've been in a couple of them. But there's C2 surrounding it in a lot of areas. And if there wasn't C2 down there now, if this was all residential, then I think it would be a no-brainer not to let this happen. But there's so many other uses, kind of like when, and they're not, I guess they're apparently not going to do it now, but it's kind of when the cookout was looking at Knox Drive over there. I mean, what do you expect living that close to Mount Saturn Drive? Something's gonna go there, it's a business. And I think that that's kind of where this area is, something's gonna go there, and they're gonna be looking more business use. I don't think you're gonna be able to find somebody that's gonna wanna have a residence in that area unless there's a business component with it. So I think that that's a key use, but like I said, I'm glad this is our first reading, because maybe we can get some more information, take a closer look at it before the second reading comes up, in 13 days, and maybe there'll be some differences at that point in time that'll look a little bit different.
Any further discussion? Wayne, what is allowed in light manufacturing?
So light manufacturing is similar type of uses to the general commercial district, along with what we consider light manufacturing uses, which are uses, that could be processing or assembly, as long as they do not generate excessive noise, odor, vibrations, dust. So that's the limit to the manufacturing uses.
Wayne, isn't there an additional manufacturing zoning?
There's a heavy manufacturing that does not have those type of restrictions.
All right, can you just tell us, in layman's terms, what the differences between those two are? I think folks here manufacturing, they get concerned. I don't know that the manufacturing that's allowed in the light manufacturing area is what folks envision when they hear manufacturing.
So typically light manufacturing or items doors within the building. And I don't want to pick on a particular type of use, but an outdoor manufacturing like a concrete plant would be something that would be heavy manufacturing. So.
And would not be allowed in the light manufacturing district.
That is correct, would not be allowed in the light manufacturing district. Correct.
Light century zoning, lot 711 on the map to light manufacturing. What is the use of on that lot right now?
So that's owned by the Carolina Marina, and for boat storage. Yes.
One thing, Mr. Dupree gets about parking of the trucks, what type of surface or parking would we?
So we would require hard surface parking, so asphalt, concrete, pavers, some sort of hard surface. And depending on the extent of the property, we certainly would encourage them to preserve as much existing vegetation and tree cover as possible. But there would be for many of the protected uses around the property as part of the development.
Like the 725, they go to, you understand?
725.
725 is the.
Yes, those are the correct.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's move into a vote. If you're in favor, please raise your hand. If you're opposed, please raise your hand. Fails 3-6. This time we're moving down to item 9.4, first reading consideration of the planning commission's recommendation to establish the zoning classification of C2 general commercial for two parcels totaling 0.64 acres at 120 Sin Street, tax map number 004640-14-006 and 005. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. If you're in favor, please raise your hand. Moving down to item 9.5, first reading consideration of the planning commission's recommendation to establish the zoning classification of C2 general commercial for one parcel totaling 2.43 acres at 3566 Sunset Boulevard, tax map number 004596-01-045. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. If you're in favor, raise your hand. Moving now to item 9.6, first reading consideration of the planning commission's recommendation to establish a zoning classification of C2/LM general commercial for one parcel totaling 2.44 acres at 3275 Sunset Boulevard, tax map number 004596-08-013. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, real quick, I just wanted to clarify that the initial public hearing was for C2. After that public hearing notice was presented to us, we received the permit request for the construction of the project, and it exceeds what's permitted in C2, which is why staff recommended to the planning commission that it be split zone C2 for the first 87 feet, light manufacturing for the remainder, and then we will have to re-advertise a public hearing since that was not part of the original notice.
Do we need to take any action on it tonight, given that?
You can have first reading on it tonight, and then by the time we have by the time you schedule second reading in November, we will have the second public hearing.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor, please raise your hand. Moving down to item 9.7, first reading consideration of the planning commission's recommendation to amend the zoning ordinance to implement the NASAC code. Mr. Schuler, if you would.
Yes, sir. So you received this as part of the work session. Again, this is just to bring our code into alignment with the NAICS code for business that's used by the business license department. So the planning commission received this as part of the public hearing. There were no comments made. The items in red will be the insertion, and the corresponding items that are struck through will be what is replaced.
Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you, Mr. Schuler. This time I'd look for a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purposes of discussion of a personnel matter related to the approval of a contract for chief of police and for the discussion of an economic development matter as it relates to municipal boundaries. Is there such a motion? Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Hearing no objection for the stated purposes, please raise your hand. We are adjourned into executive session. Y'all are welcome to stay. See you next time.